Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dokkan battle video, and today this is kind of a special request. I've been getting a lot of requests from people for like team building guides and like what are the best teams in the game, things like that. So what I'm going to do is this video is going to cover like how I think you should build a team, or like the way I like to build teams. And I'm going to just go through basically what I did was I filled all 7 of my deck slots with what I feel are some of the funnest and best teams in the game. Now keep in mind, this is all just like personal opinion, personal preference. This isn't like an official tier list. And the decks or the teams I'm going to show you, they're not even in like my order of like best to worst or anything like that. I'm just going to show you 7 really awesome categories that I think are really good teams. 7 team builds I like. I even, for some of the teams, will show you like some of the teams have so many options, it's just like overwhelming, right? So what I want you to do is take the advice of like my general team building philosophy, and you can just apply that to your box and for those teams, right? And then after hearing what some of the best categories are, you can hopefully make the best decision based on your box. But keep in mind, if you don't have all the same units as me and you want advice based on your box, so for example, you could say, based on my units, what's the best Kamehameha team I can build? You can show me your box, I'll give you some advice, right? So I'm going to start off by talking about one of the teams that I have and then what my general team building philosophy is. So the general way I like to build a team is I like to think of it as 2 attacking rotations. So that means basically 4 of your 7 units are going to be your main on-rotation attackers, and then the rest of the units I like to be either like utility or support role characters. Now I've had somebody ask me before, like, what is a support character? So the characters themselves aren't really labeled as a support character. It's just a term we use for characters that give buffs to the entire party. So for example, if I look at this Toa here, to know if a unit's a support unit, you simply look at their passive. If their passive does stuff for all allies or for certain categories on rotation, things like that, that means they're a support unit. So this Toa does all allies key 3 in attack and defense 30%, and then she has a chance to add an additional 10% attack and defense. So her role is a support unit, right? So I'll start off with my 7th team. Like I said, this isn't like a tier list or anything. It's not in any order. But this is one of my favorite teams, and I've used this category for a very long time. And there's a ton of like really effective builds you can do with this team. But this would be probably one of my favorite builds. So this is Strength Cooler's team, which is Terrifying Conquerors and Transformation Boost. So what I would do with this team is I would run a rotation of the Cooler with this LR Frieza. That would be a rotation, and then another rotation would be the 2 Bojacks. And then what would happen is the Friend Cooler would be floating as a support unit, this LR Turles would be floating as a support unit, and this Toa would be floating as a support unit. So that's an example of like an ideal build. Now, I really like leaders like Strength Cooler, where they are also support units in addition to being a good leader, because it makes the team building very flexible, right? So for example, on this team, so let me just go into my team here really quick, and we'll just go into character list. So let's look at the 2 categories. So we want to do Transformation Boost and Terrifying Conquerors. So let's go ahead and look at that. So Transformation Boost, and then we'll grab Terrifying Conquerors right there. Okay. So you can see this team is loaded, and there's a lot of good superclass characters as well, and I've actually done builds with superclass characters on the team, right? So what you could do is you could have the two Cooler leaders. They could just be like floating support units, and then you could just pick 4 units as attacking rotations, right? So I could do the 2 year 5 LRs up here, so I could just take this guy and this guy. They could be a rotation, and then another rotation could be like this cell and this cell, which those 2 cells are like a ridiculous rotation. The idea is your attacking rotation, you pick 2 units that are good attackers that link well together, and then you have your floating supports, right? So that's why I have a rotation of the 2 Bojacks, because they link well together. And then we always have a support floating around. So there's a lot of flexibility. So like the team builds I show in my video here, they're not like always the best team builds. There's like many really good team builds you can run, right? It also depends on the content that you're doing and how difficult it is and how casual you want to be. Okay, so this is one of my favorite teams. What I feel is one of the best teams is Terrifying Conquerors and Transformation Boost. On a side note, this I'll just kind of, like, there's so many good teams, like, I can't get them all in this video, but I will shout out the Space Traveling Warriors team. Like, this guy's essentially the same thing as Cooler, so you can do the same thing with his team. You just have access to different units. So, for example, on Space Traveling Warriors, you could do, like, a Jiren rotation, where you have, like, Jiren and Topo together, and then you could do, like, a Bojack rotation as the other one, and then have floating supports. So, good leaders have a lot of flexibility in their teams, and basically what determines a good team is the quality of units on their categories, right? So this would be one of the best. The second team I want to talk about is a hybrid Saiyans and Saviors build. Once again, a lot of really good options for it, but part of the reason this team is so good is because this Gohan is just like a fantastic defensive unit. He's like one of the best defensive units in the game. Now this Gohan, this team, like the team building isn't quite as flexible as the last one. This Gohan doesn't link the best with a lot of units, but he's so good, even without links, it doesn't really matter. So I am a very huge fan of this EZA Gohan and Goten and Trunks. If you haven't watched it yet, I do have a Rainbow Level 10 Links video on them, and they are literally like LR power. Like, they are insane. If you run them properly on a team together and on rotation, they are like LR level. They are, I guess I don't want to spoil it, but we're talking 5 million plus attack stats and up to 300k defense. That's what we're talking about with these two guys, okay? And then we're just filled with like ridiculous supports and whatever. The only thing is with this team, so this Krillin, if you can run him on a team where you will have a Trunks or Goten in the same rotation, he's ridiculous because he does 60%. He's a 60% support unit, which is crazy. This Trunks is probably one of the best overall hybrid Saiyan supports in the game. And then this guy's here kind of as a placeholder, but also is actually a legitimate option. So this guy might seem like a weird pick because he's a GT hero support, so he's actually not supporting the team, but he actually links really good with this Gohan, so you can run them on rotation, and this guy actually is good enough to be a rotation unit. He does multiple super attacks, he builds up a little bit, he's actually pretty solid, right? But the reason I could say this is a placeholder, because what you could put in this spot is there is a Goten and Trunks AGL GT card that I never pulled, but he would work because he's a pure Saiyan hybrid Saiyan support. So you could run that one instead, or just pick a different support, right? You could do like a Majin Buu Saga support, because like these are all Majin Buu Saga, so you could put like TN there, you could put Great Saiyaman there, something like that, right? But yeah, hybrid Saiyans and Saviors, once again, you'd look at the box, you'd see a lot of flexibility. So let's just take a quick look, right? So if we go into character list, and now let's switch, and we're going to go hybrid Saiyans and Saviors. So let's clear, and let's find hybrid Saiyans and Saviors. I do wish they did something with these categories here in the sorting. It's really frustrating, like the order of these. I wish they just made them alphabetical order. It would be so much easier if this was just alphabetical order, right? Because I'm always like just buried and like looking through these trying to find my category. So Saviors and hybrid Saiyans. So here's hybrid Saiyans, and then Saviors. Let's find Saviors really quick. Yeah, this part I think is something that I would definitely improve in the game. There we go. And then you want to pick partial match because you want to know who would fit on either team, right? So basically what I would do is I would look at this. You would have to take, this Tech Gohan would be your leader, but then you just figure out your rotation. So who would like link well together and be good attackers? So you might say, I might take this Gohan and this Gohan as a rotation, right? Or like, actually those are the same Gohan. When the same name update comes, that's something else I should mention. I'm going to talk about on some of these teams, like there are actually like way better builds with the same name update, so I might talk about them, but I can't physically put those teams together yet because we're not going to get that till after the anniversary. So what I meant to say was this Gohan and this Gohan would be like a good rotation, right? And then you could look and find another rotation that you might want to do out of these units, right? So like I did Goten and Trunks. I think they're two of the more impressive units in here. You could do this guy. This guy is fantastic. You could put him on rotation with... you could put him on rotation with a Goten or Trunks also. Yeah, just any units that you think are good or based on your box, right? And like these ultimate Gohans, like this Int one and the Strength one, like they're not very good by today's standards, but this Strength one's going to get an EZA and be amazing, and depending on your box, like this Int one might be good enough. You could put him on rotation with this guy, and then when they transform, they actually link really well together, right? Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is really good. Throw him on rotation with, I don't know, you could throw him on rotation with with him, they might link okay. Some of the units are so good it doesn't matter, but this EZA Vegeta is fantastic, right? So the general idea, look at your box, try to get 2 attacking rotations that link decently well, and then get support units. Alright, so let's go back to the teams and look at some other just teams that I think are really good. Majin Buu Saga and Battle of Wits. This is seen by many as maybe the best team in the game, or one of the best teams in the game. Very flexible team because Majin Buu Saga has a lot of good units, but then also Battle of Wits has like a bunch of the fusions and stuff on it, which is really, really good, right? Now this setup here is basically I've got my 3 floating supports. So this guy's a ridiculous World Tournament support, this guy's a great support, and this guy's a good support for Majin Buu Saga. They're specifically Majin Buu Superclass supports, right? And then basically what I would do is I would have this guy on rotation with this guy, and then I would have this guy on rotation with the friend Vegito. So then that would be my attacking rotations. So when you look at my team on paper here, it looks like it's a bunch of support units, but you have to think of the friend leader as another unit on the team. And so I'm thinking of the friend leader as being another one of my main attacking units, right? Now you could do a completely different build of this. You could do an extreme build where like you have the physical LR Buhan, and a bunch of Buu units. Like you could totally do that as well, right? You could do like Boos and Deburas and all that. You could have a lot of fun with it that way. So like there definitely are tons of builds you can do. The next team I want to look at here is Realm of Gods. This team is absolutely busted, and after the same name update, Realm of Gods and Reps of U7 are going to be like 2 of the best teams in the game because of what the same name update can do. So to me, this guy is like a must run on Realm of Gods. Because he's meant for Realm of Gods. He only gets his full passive with Realm of Gods. But if you're running Realm of Gods, he gives all allies 7% crit chance and 20% attack. Now you might not say that's not a crazy support skill, but this guy also hits like 5 million damage. He's absolutely, like he could be a main rotation, right? So a rotation you could run is actually this guy with the Resurrection F Blue Vegeta. And yeah, they're just insane together, right? But for this team build specifically, what we would do is we'd have a rotation of Int UI with AGL UI, and then we'd have a rotation of Int UI with this Int Vegeta. They link well enough together. And then here are my 3 floating supports. This unit's actually ridiculous, Realm of God support. She's 40%, and she gives crit. 10% crit, like just ridiculous. And she guards. Like, she's like really, really good. And then Supreme Opaya time here. She, once again, is a 30% attack and defense, but she can go up to 42 if her passives hit. So these are just, Realm of Gods has like the craziest support units. Like they have so many because there's like Strength Topo, who's also ridiculous. Like yeah, like the Strength Topo could go on this team like just as well, and he's absolutely ridiculous also. So talking about the same name update though with Realm of Gods, you could literally just fill this thing with UI Gokus, because in addition to this guy, you can run the physical UI Goku that we can farm up right now, and he's going to get an easy in part 3 and is actually really, really good. And then you can do the Strength LR UI Goku. So I actually would run all 3 of them on a team, which is kind of crazy. The thing that's insane is some of these teams have so much overlap, you can almost build the same team on different categories. So like, a team that I might build for Realm of Gods with all those UI Gokus might be almost identical to like my Reps of Universe 7 team, right? What's really going to kind of differentiate the teams, I think, are the support unit choices. So that's really what you want to think about there. Sometimes what I like to do is like, for example, the year 5, like Gogeta and Vegito, there's a ton of teams they work on and they're really good, but I like intentionally don't use them on certain teams because I want variety. So part of the fun for me in team building is like not always using the same units on every team, but it's trying to get variety. So an example would be, if I'm going to go, so like for my Realm of Gods, because my Reps of U7 team might be really similar to this, so I might do like a Beerus build for Realm of Gods, and run Beerus as the leader, and then like Whis, Vados, LR Beerus, and Whis, and then some supports. That team can wreck house. Like, it's really, really good. You just have to have the right units. And actually, what I would do is after the same name update, I would actually not use LR Beerus and Whis, and I would use the Tech Beerus. He's actually really good, and run him on rotation. What I probably am going to do is when the same name update drops, I'm going to do a series of videos showcasing like some of my favorite teams that really take advantage of the same name update. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Alright, so this team right here, this isn't an actual build that I would use, but this just this just shows how ridiculous Kamehameha is, and this is why you see this AGL Gohan like everywhere, right? And instead of this could be LR STR UI Goku, and this is like a full Dokkan Fest LR team. Like, just absolutely, well, I guess LR team, that UI Goku isn't Dokkan Fest, but you can do a full Dokkan Fest LR team. So some teams are just so stacked that you might not even want to run supports because all the units are so good and you just have attackers everywhere. And if you have the whole team that they're offensively and defensively capable, yeah, you don't have to run support. It's not like a rule. That's just what I like to do to bring out the best in my attacking units. So on a team like this, none of them are going to be able to do their best attack and defense stats, but they're all going to be like absolutely ridiculous and you're just going to have power like everywhere, right? So if we go into team, let me just go to my character list for Kamehameha. And here's the thing, let me just clear out, yep, and then let's just find, here's Kamehameha. This is just Kamehameha, but if you want to be really crazy, you can do, where are they? They're going to be down here just a little bit. They're a little bit lower because I only have them at 55%. Come on, I missed them. Let me just type them in quick. You could run this guy as your Kamehameha leader, and he also gets gifted warriors with it, which opens things up. And like, you can use the Super Saiyan 4s on there, which is crazy. But look at this roster. Like, Kamehameha is insane. Like, you can just literally take a huge handful of LRs and throw them on the team and you're good. Just make sure they kind of link well together, right? So it's insane. Now, in terms of support units, this Master Roshi is good if you're running a bunch of Gokus, because he's a Turtle School support, which is basically every Goku in the game. So you could do Master Roshi as a support. But Kamehameha is a little bit lacking on supports. You could run this guy, but you would have to have a lot of Realm of Gods. And if you're going to run like full Realm of Gods, you might as well run Realm of Gods team, right? So I think he's kind of pointless there. But there's one more, or a couple more Kamehamehas I wanted to shout out. So like, the Super Saiyan 2 Gokus are okay support units that you can run. And then there is a physical Gohan that he's okay right now. Like, I wouldn't run this guy. This guy's outdated. He is a support unit, but when he EZAs, he'll be probably really crazy. This Pan is an outdated support. These guys are okay support, but they're pretty much reps of U7, so you want to just stick to that. But if we type in, I'm just going to type in Gohan really quick. And we're going to find that this guy right here. So this guy's a 35% attack and defense support. And on JP, he just got an EZA. So this guy's going to be like a must run on Kamehameha. So if you're running with supports, definitely plan on using this guy in the future. But if you got a lot of Gokus, that Master Roshi's great. But otherwise, it's so stacked. Just fill it with tons of ridiculous units. And it all depends on your box, right? Okay, let's go back into teams here. And we're 2 teams away. I'm going to try to keep this video hopefully under 15 minutes. We'll see. This here, so we're coming up to my last 2 teams I want to talk about. This here, like literally verbatim, is like the team you would run with like one exception. But GT Heroes. This is one of, like, it's a more limited category. But the quality of unit you get in this group of 6 is absolutely insane. These are some of the best units in the game in terms of attack, defense, and support units, right? And the fact that you get this guy as a leader who is an orb changer, you can have this guy on the team as another orb changer, and then for your friend unit, it can actually be this Vegeta or the Goku. It doesn't matter because they're the same leader skill. And so you have 3 orb changers. You're almost orb changing too much, right? So a couple of and this guy's crazy. And the Super Saiyan 4s, that's like the must-run rotation, right? These 2 are just ridiculous. So a couple of changes you could make is you could swap out either Gogeta or this Vegeta for the other support unit, which is that AGL Trunks and Goten, who I do not have. So if it were me personally, like, you could go either way. Like, I could see you taking this Vegeta off because you'd almost have too many orb changers and putting the support in. Or I could see you taking this guy off because he doesn't link as well as this guy will link with the other units on your team. But this guy links good with the Super Saiyan 4. So I guess, yeah, it's really just your personal preference or who you have more dupes into. Because this guy in slot 3 on a rotation with the Super Saiyan 4s is ridiculous. So, yeah, GT Heroes, one of my favorite teams in the game. If you got the units, this is like the powerhouse team. This is the team, like, when I went against Hellas, God of Destruction, and I found out she does all types. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to bring my biggest powerhouse team. This is the team I did it, and I just crushed her. So I have a video on that if you want to watch that, see how ridiculous this team is. And then the last team is Reps of U7, who are literally going to be like one of the best teams in the game by the time the anniversary is done. So I have 3 units in this build that they're only okay right now, but they are all easy-aing in part 3. So this guy easy-A's in part 3 and becomes one of the best units in the game. This guy easy-A's in part 3 and is one of the best supports for all these Gokus. And then this guy easy-A's and is like a ridiculous support. And notice, I'm not even running the summonable Gohan and Piccolo or the Gohan and Frieza, because these units are all better. You don't even need those summonable banner units. So the other thing is like a lot of you might not have this guy, right? So all you'd have to do is you can just run this guy as your leader if you got him, and hopefully you're summoning on the banners. I do recommend you try and get this guy if you haven't yet. Any of the free stones you're getting, try to funnel into this guy's banner and get him. But like, you could run him as your leader, and you could just run a friend him and you're fine. Or you could take a friend Goku and Frieza if you want to try him out. But there's a little bit of flexibility there. And then what I would do after the same name update is I would run 3 UI Goku signs. I would run this one, the physical one, and the LR STR one. And you would just swap out whatever units you want to swap out. But Reps of U7 is insane. And if you run this guy as your leader, you also get Miraculous Awakening. So then there's more units you have choices from if you have a more limited box. My box, I have like literally almost every unit in the game. Like, I think that GT Goten and Trunks I was talking about is probably like the only like banner unit I'm missing. There are some like summonable like LRs and stuff I don't have, but in terms of like normal banner units, I'm pretty sure that GT support unit is like the only one I actually do not have at this point. I actually got 2 of them during the anniversary. I got Int Topo, and then I just got that STR Trunks head and Hybrid Saiyan. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. If you have questions based on your box or want personal advice on team building, hit me up in the comments. And maybe we can talk through Discord or something. You can show me your box. I can help you do some team builds. But just remember the general rule that I like, where think of 4 units as your attackers that link together on rotation. So think of them in pairs of units that link together, and then try to get support units that rotate off. Okay? So anyways, guys, let me know if this helps. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.